Come on, I'm going to go for a ride. Y'all can come with me. You ready? Let's go. See you, Bachelor. Okay, this is Rick Fairless, Stroker's Dallas, Stroker's Ice House, fixing to take Alice for a ride, my 1975 Shovelhead. Got to let her warm up just a wee bit. There's Bachelor. Okay, you ready? Come on, I'm going to go for a ride. Y'all can come with me. You ready? Let's go. See you, Bachelor. Okay, here I am on world famous Harry Hines. Just me, you, and Alice, my Shovelhead. So, I thought today on this ride, this is kind of a test ride because I haven't done it in a while. I thought we'd talk about kind of how I got started and what my thought process was. I was working for Roach Paint for 12 years and then Glidden bought us out. So I finished another 8 years with Roach Paint Glidden. So after 20 years, I retired. But I retired to open Stroker's Dallas and Stroker's Ice House, and my dream was having a motorcycle shop and a bar and grill on the same property. And I wasn't positive that I could do it because I had never seen it done before, but I was positive I was going to do my best. I was positive that I was going to put everything I had into it because that was my dream. So at the time, Easy Riders, when I was still working for Glidden, Easy Riders magazine had a franchise program. And I would see in the magazine every month, you know, check out the Easy Rider stores, and it was maybe a half dozen stores or a dozen stores, and they were all up north. And then I remember they had one, that says it was opening soon in Austin, Texas. And I remember like it was yesterday thinking, Austin, that's awesome. I wish somebody would open up an Easy Rider store in Dallas. Then you could see parts from Arlen Ness and Pat Kennedy and Don Hotop and Dave Perowitz and Donnie Smith and all them big boys. Man, it would be so cool if somebody opened Easy Riders in Dallas. Why can't that guy be me? That guy can't be me. Rick, you can't. You're not going to do that. You worked for Glidden for 20 years. Well, I said, well, you know what? I'll make some phone calls. Let's go down Northwest Highway. I think I only got about 20 minutes worth of film. I said, so I'll make some phone calls and that will appease myself. So I called up to the Easy Riders, told them what I was thinking about doing, and they were rah, rah, rah. Yeah. So now I'm starting to get kind of excited. And I thought, okay, now I got to seriously think about how I can do this. Still working for Glidden. And then I come along and they said, hey, we want to have a conference call with you and our president, Brian Wood. And I said, great. And I said, I'll get my brother, who is my best friend and my lawyer, on the phone with us from Houston. And I'll get my pal Joe T here in Dallas, and we'll just have a meeting. You know, we'll just have this conference call. So we did. And I remember Brian Wood, everything was going good, and yeah, Dallas would be a great territory. And then he said, Rick, who's your partners on this thing? And I said, oh, Mr. Wood, I don't have any partners. And he said, Rick, you know, you really need a partner. And I said, no, sir, Mr. Wood, I'm going to do this by myself. And he said, Rick, I'm looking at your financials. You don't have enough money to do this. And I said, oh, well, I was thinking about getting an SBA loan. And he laughed. And he said, you're a middle-class white guy with long hair. You're not going to get an SBA loan. And I said, well, I think I can. And he said, well, I think we're going to keep looking for somebody in Dallas, because we're going to put a store in Dallas. But Rick, I don't think it's you. I didn't know whether to start crying or to bust something. And before I could say anything, my brother said, Mr. Wood, you don't know Rick Fairless very well. When Rick Fairless puts his mind to doing something, he does it. He is the number one sales rep in the country for one of the biggest paint manufacturers in the country. And Mr. Wood said, well, he said, you go ahead and try to get an SBA loan, but we're going to keep our eyes open for somebody else in Dallas. And I said, yes, sir. And I went, applied for some SBA loans, and some of them turned me down. One of them accepted me because he knew me. And then I went to my bank, which was also the bank my dad banked at. And the guy said, I'll approve you under one condition. And I said, what's that? He said, I want your dad to co-sign. I was 39 years old at the time, and I looked at him and I said, yes, sir. And I got my pop to co-sign for me. And I called Brian Wood, and he said, I'm coming to Dallas. My niece is graduating from SMU. I want a sit-down meeting. And we had a sit-down meeting. And it was supposed to be 30-minute breakfast, and it wound up being 2 hours. And he said, Rick, you're my guy in Dallas. Let's get this thing done. And I did. I got the SBA loan, and I started looking for a place. And I looked and looked and looked and looked, and I wanted to open it in Irving. But I knew I couldn't put a bar in Irving back then. So I did just what we've always done as kids. You want to buy booze, you go right across the river into West Dallas, and that's what I did. And I found the place where I'm at now, and I leased it for 10 years, a part of it. And then over 20 years ago, my wife and I bought the property, and I'm proud to say that we own that 2 acres, 2+ acres, free and clear. And you know, it was so scary leaving a job that I've had for 20 years that paid me good money to go into business for myself. It was really scary. Hold that thought. So here to the left, this is where we used to drag race as kids. Heck, let's just go down here. So this was called the Nature Trails. The street's called Wildwood. And so what it was, and it ain't changed much, they had like a white line somewhere in here for the starting line, and then a quarter mile later they had another white line for the finish line, and the kids used to line up on the side of the road in their cars yelling and screaming and drinking beer, and it was really, really cool. And I remember that there's an inlet here to the left, and it seems like the finish line was right in here somewhere, so that you would finish right here in front of this little park where people used to hang out. And it was really a fun place for us all to gather. But hey, we were teenagers, we didn't know no better. So I got the store open, and back then Easy Riders, which I was an Easy Riders franchise, had an Easy Riders Cafe in Columbus, Ohio at the main location. But it was just it just served sandwiches when the store was open. And I said, I want to take that concept and turn it into a bar and grill. And they were yeah. And then when it got time for me to do it, they put me on the back burner. They said, well, Rick, we're not really in the beer business, and we don't know how good of an idea that is. And so that's when I said, okay, I'm Easy Riders of Dallas. I'm going to open a beer joint, and I'm going to call it, hey, there I am. Hi. And I got 11 minutes and 50 seconds. And I'm going to call it Stroker's Ice House, which an ice house is a place where men used to gather after work to pick up blocks of ice for the ice box before there were refrigerators. So an ice house was a gathering spot for men. And in Houston, they got ice houses everywhere, but there was none in DFW till Rick Fairless came along. So now there's more than a few ice houses in DFW, but Stroker's Ice House by Rick Fairless was the very first one. So, leaving Glidden was one of the hardest things I ever did. I was leaving a guaranteed paycheck, and I had young kids at home, but I was leaving it to pursue my dream. Thank you. I get that a lot. So, yeah, let's go. No, you too fast. Oh, he run the red light pulling the trailer. This is a big city. Got a little bit of everybody in here. So, it was the best thing that I ever did. And I'm living my dream. Stroker's Dallas Motorcycle Shop has been great. We're building some really cool motorcycles, and that's my passion. And the Stroker's Ice House is awesome. That's my passion. And I just love every minute of what I'm doing. Now, is it headaches? Brother, it's more than headaches. It's a lot of headaches. But let's go here. Don't tell anybody I crossed the lane like a heathen. But that's part of owning a business. You got ups and downs. That's part of it. Every decision I make can be great or it can be terrible. I mean, I have hired and fired hundreds and hundreds of people. And every time you do, you're changing people's lives. I mean, I've hired people that have been with me for 20 years, and I've hired people that didn't show up on the first day. That's part of it. How much time we got? 14 minutes, okay. I probably should make my way back then. Bessler said I only had about 20 minutes. So, I only got about 20 minutes because I think this battery's not fully charged. I decided it was a beautiful day and I wanted to go for a ride. I don't know if I had to do it all over again, would I do it? In a heartbeat, but it was a heck of a lot of work, man. And it, you know, when I opened at 39, I thought I was an old man. Well, now I'm 69 and I know I'm an old man. But you know what? I'm used, but I'm not used up. There's still some life left in this 69-year-old man. I'll be 70 this year. And that terrifies me to say that I'll be 70 this year. But it terrified me when I said I was going to be 40 and 50 and 60. You know, but when people tell me about their aches and their pains and their illnesses and all that, I'll say, how old are you? And they'll say, oh, they'll be in their 40s or 50s. And I'll say, hold on, brother, it gets worse. And those of you that are my age, you know that it gets worse. But the thing is, you got to keep going. You got to keep fighting. You've got to keep living your life. Don't put it on the back burner, because we're not promised tomorrow. That's the whole thing, is you're not promised tomorrow. I mean, a truck could run this red light and T-bone me right now, and I'll be with Alice and my mom and my mama and my grandma and my grandpa in 12 minutes. And that ain't bad. That's not bad. But I don't think they're ready for me yet. I got a lot of work to do down here. I got a lot of things I want to do. I'm not done living yet, but when I'm done, I'll be ready to go. But I ain't done yet. And I think that's the thing. You've got to want to live. You've got to want. How many minutes am I? 17 and a half. You've got to want to do things. But it's more than just want to. You not just got to want to. You got to get off the couch and do them.